Learning from Stories, a lecture by Idries Shah, delivered in 1976 before a live audience.
When I was giving a lecture not long ago, I was talking about the difficulty which many people have in taking things in, especially if these things are delivered to them at any speed, and how even a story or a statement had to become a person's property so that it could be recalled to mind for many purposes in order to teach oneself successive layers from this story or to illustrate situations which one would otherwise find difficult to understand. And I continued in my customary brilliant way that it has been noticed that much information is not absorbed because many people cannot really absorb something when they've heard it only once. Well, immediately a hand went up in the front row, so we didn't have the front row there reserved for the rather more intelligent members of the audience, and a fellow asked me, would you mind saying that again?
Stories from Caravan of Dreams by Idries Shah.
The Magic Horse. Once upon a time, not so very long ago, there was a realm in which the people were exceedingly prosperous. All kinds of discoveries had been made by them in the growing of plants, in harvesting, in preserving fruits, and in making objects for sale to other countries, and in very many other practical arts. Their king was unusually enlightened, and he encouraged new discoveries and activities because he knew of their advantage for his people. He had a son named Hoshiar, who liked and was expert in using strange contrivances, and another son called Tambal, a dreamer who seemed interested only in things which were of little value in the eyes of the citizens. From time to time, the king, who was named King Mumkin, circulated announcements like this one. Let all those who have made notable devices and useful artifacts bring them to the palace for examination, so that they may be appropriately rewarded. Now there were two men of that country, an ironsmith and a woodworker, and they were great rivals in most things, and each delighted in making strange and outlandish contraptions. When they heard this announcement one day, they agreed to compete for an award so that their relative merits could be decided once and for all by their king and then publicly recognized. Accordingly, the smith worked day and night on a mighty engine, employing a multitude of talented specialists and surrounding his workshop with high walls so that nobody could see in and his devices and methods shouldn't become known. At the same time, the woodworker took his simple tools and went into a forest, where after long and solitary reflection he prepared his own masterpiece. News of the rivalry spread, and people thought that the smith must easily win, for his cunning works had been seen before, and while the woodworker's products were generally admired, they were only of occasional and undramatic use. When both were ready, the king received them in open court. The smith produced an immense metallic fish which could, he said, swim in and under the water. It could carry large quantities of freight over the land. It could burrow into the earth, and it could even fly slowly through the air. At first, the court found it hard to believe that there could be such a wonder made by man. But when the smith and his assistants demonstrated it, the king was overjoyed and declared the smith among the most honored in the land, with a special rank and the title of benefactor of the community. Prince Hoshiar was placed in charge of the making of the wondrous fishes, and the services of this new device became available to everybody. Everyone blessed the smith and Hoshiar, as well as the benign and wise monarch whom they loved so much. In the excitement, the self-effacing carpenter had been all but forgotten. Then one day someone said, "But what about the contest? Where is the entry of the woodworker? We all know him to be an ingenious man. Perhaps he has produced something useful too." "How could anything possibly be as useful as the wondrous fishes?" asked Hoshiar. And many of the courtiers and the people agreed with him. But one day the king was bored. He had become accustomed to the novelty of the fishes and the reports of the wonders which they so regularly performed. He said, "Call the woodcarver, for I would now like to see what he has made." The simple woodcarver came into the throne room, carrying a parcel wrapped in coarse cloth. As the whole court craned forward to see what he had, he took off the covering to reveal a wooden horse.